Yes. All right. So once you log into your JFrog, you have two tabs over here that you have to look at. One is a normal user, a reader will be able to see this, and he'll be able to go through the artifacts, the repositories, whatever he has access to, he'll be able to see all of this. Okay. And each of the repository, we can control the access. I mean, that's not what we're going to study today. We will eventually get to that. Maybe you'll figure it out yourself, but if not, we'll get to it. But today, what we are trying to do is we are trying to look at what repositories do we really have, and then being able to push to those repositories. So what I will do, first of all, is I will go ahead and delete everything what's given to us by default, just so that you do not get confused with everything which is in there by default. So let's go ahead and clear everything. And we'll start from scratch. If you're not able to do it, at least we know something is missing and we don't have some defaults that we think we understand. And there are three types of repositories. If you look at it, the first one that I'm clearing out is local. A remote, I'm not going to clean up because a remote technically, you remember the picture which I had done earlier? If not, let me quickly do that for you. There was a picture that I had drawn, your machine, and then the remote machine, which is Artifactory basically. And Artifactory can connect to a lot more remote, which are not controlled by Artifactory directly, right? So this was developer laptop or your laptop technically. What you have is you have a .m2/repository somewhere, which is your local repository. Okay, it need not be .m2 repository. You can always override that local repository by changing the value in settings file, but I usually prefer to keep defaults, don't change it. So this is your local repository. This is your remote repository. Remote for the developer. Okay. Remote for the developer. And these are actually remote repositories which are not managed by your company. So this whole thing is within your company, right? Your laptop is within the company. Your Artifactory is within the company. And whatever you create and publish, that's what is going to be available in remote repository. But you also want to bring something up from Maven Central. So if you want to always go through remote repository, that is your Artifactory, what you can do is you can create a remote repositories that are pointing to external world. Okay, that's it. That is what this is, remote. So if I go into any one of them over here, let's say for Maven, it is saying for Maven, the external is jcenter.bintray.com. That's the remote that it is using. Okay. Let's move back. Then there's local, which is actual repositories that you create over here. They are hosted and they are present over here directly. Okay. There are remotes that you do not own, but you point from outside. That's what a remote is. Virtual is basically if you want to combine most of them together under a single head, you can create a virtual repository and add your local and your remote in a single head. That's what we will see here. So if you see, for example, well, you know what, we'll get rid of all of this since we've already deleted them. Let's delete them first of all. And we'll start from scratch. Default Docker virtual delete. All right. So I don't have anything in virtual. I don't have anything in local. A remote, I'm keeping it because anyway, I'll have to create a remote pointing to Maven Central. This is what will be pointing to Maven Central. So I don't want to delete and recreate the exact same thing. Okay, so I will keep it there. If you want, we can always delete it and then recreate the same thing. But first of all, let's go ahead and create local. So let's assume we have a brand new project. The name of the project is Lotus Ops, right? Lotus Ops can create a snapshot, can create a release. I don't know whether I've spoken to you before about what a snapshot build and a release build is. Did I?
Briefly. Snapshot is not the final version, but release is the final version. Something like that, right?
Yeah. So in our Maven pom.xml file, if we have a hyphen snapshot after the version number, that is considered to be a snapshot. And if there is no snapshot, it's considered to be a release. That's one thing, one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is snapshot is a continuous development project. That means people are still working on that project. It is not formally available to be released. That means when you create a snapshot build, a previous build can be overwritten by a brand new build. So if you start with a version 1.0.0 hyphen snapshot, you can keep overwriting the same build over and over again and not have any ripple effect. Okay, technically it doesn't overwrite, it creates timestamps. Okay, but for our simplistic understanding, let's say it is getting overwritten. But when it comes to release, a release is something that is created or built to be released to some customer. So once a release is created, it should never get deleted. That's the whole idea of it. Okay. So let's go ahead and create two repositories to start with over here. And as I said, local, that means I'm explicitly creating those repositories that belongs over here. So they are going to be created, managed, maintained over here in Artifactory. Okay. So I will go ahead and say add repository and I'll say local repository. Oh, wait, what did I do? Discard. Add repository, local repository, and I have to select Maven. That's what I want, right? Select Maven, and then you can give a name for it. So I'll give Lotus Ops Maven snapshot local. Okay, and I'll just copy this and keep it with me. I want it to be Maven 2. So here there are certain parameters. I mean, what kind of artifacts you are allowed to save, so on and so forth. If you want to control, you can control. Technically, nobody changes this. If you scroll down over here, we want to say handle only snapshots. We don't want it to handle releases. So I'm going to remove this guys over here. And then if I go down, I can say create repository. So, and there are other things over here which says maximum unique snapshot, so on and so forth. How many unique snapshot do you want to keep? I just don't want to. So it says value 0 default indicates there's no limit, and unique snapshots are not cleaned up. That, as I told you, right? Snapshot in our mind, for simplistic reason, what we're saying is a snapshot always gets overwritten. That means if you try to call for 1.0.0 snapshot, you'll always get the latest snapshot. But internally, it never deletes it. It creates timestamps and keep adding it. So what it is saying here is, if I say 2, at any given time, it will only keep unique 2. Okay. So for our case, I'll just put it as 1. Okay. Because we have a limitation of only 2 GB. I don't want us to be creating over and over again and then getting into trouble. So I'll just say 1 over here. Technically, nobody does that. They'll always keep it open-ended as 0. Okay. So that they can always go fall back and see what was there in the earlier snapshot. We don't want to do that. So I'll say create local. So Lotus Ops Maven snapshot local is created. Similarly, I will go ahead and do a remote, but release, not remote. And if I come down here, the only change that I would do is handle releases. And technically, releases, there should be a constraint somewhere. Not spend time right now, but technically there should be a constraint. Max unique is 1. I don't want that release snapshot release to be available multiple times. Okay, so handle releases. Technically, this is only for snapshot if you really look at it. So what I want is the release should never get overwritten. So there should be a flag somewhere. I don't see it right now over here in Nexus. It was pretty easy to find out that I do not want the release versions to be overwritten. I'm guessing with JFrog Artifactory, we'll figure it out in a moment. It doesn't allow to override releases by default. In Nexus, you have an option to override it. Okay, but it is a good feature sometimes to disable that. That's why I would want to check what happens after we create this. So let's move forward anyway with this. So I've created a release local. I've created a snapshot local. The next thing what I want to do is I want to create a virtual repository, okay, in which I will be connecting local and remote together under a virtual repository. So let's move down here, add repository, add virtual. So when you say that, and if I select Maven, I will call it as Maven snapshot only, no local. Or if you want to say virtual, you can say that. Once I come down here, it will show me all the repositories that are available. Okay. Default Maven remote, I want it to be added for sure because I want it to be brought in. And then I'll take this snapshot and put it over here. And if you see here, by default, if somebody uses this virtual repository, where do you want the artifacts to be deployed? So two things you should remember. One thing is, when you have a remote repository, you either get it to pull the dependency, or when you do a Maven clean deploy, you're actually deploying your artifact to the repository. Okay. These two things I want you to be really clear about. Either you can pull the dependencies. For example, there's a remote repository here in Maven Central. You want to pull that dependency, one of the dependencies, let's say JUnit. So that is where you are pulling it. Okay. You're building your own project over here, let's say a web application, and you do a Maven clean deploy. Whatever artifact is built, you want that artifact to be deployed to a respective repository, either it's a snapshot or releases. We haven't seen that yet, but we will see it. But what I just want you to remember is there is either a pull or a push. Okay, let's move down. And when you do a push, where should it get deployed to? It is saying deploy to snapshot local. That's what it is trying to say. Let's go ahead, create this. And then if you want a release, you can create a release too. You can always put -snapshot if you want to exclude them, but let's not do that right now. Let's just put, and if you see here, right, it also gives you an option to put virtual repository in there. So if I put this snapshot, everything else that snapshot brings in will be available. But I don't want to do that. I just want to take release and put it over here as release. If somebody uses release, they will only get what is released. They are not supposed to pull anything from remote repository. That's the whole idea. So I will just put release local and say create virtual repository. So I have two virtual repositories now. One is release virtual, which only has release local for now. We'll talk about it as we have more what happens. And then we have a snapshot virtual, which has Maven remote, which is the central repository, and it has a Maven snapshot local. Any questions on this so far?
No, Samir, I'm good.
Okay. So I would suggest you, even if you don't understand, give me some time to complete the whole picture, and then maybe you can ask the question, because we are just halfway in the picture. So let's go to Maven repository, what we had earlier. And there are a couple of things that I added here. One is settings.xml, first of all. So if I go to settings.xml, I have put the username, password. Technically, this could be release. Doesn't have to be central. And wherever it was central, this ID, right, we'll have to change it to release. It can even Samir, okay? It doesn't have to be release. It can be any ID. So let's look at this a little closer. Let's not look at the server. Let's not look at the mirror. Let's look over here. And this is something that you can even create yourself. Give me 1 second. Let's look at that. Set me up. Package is Maven. Repository is, let's say, snapshot local. So release, you want to use Maven releases, correct? And for snapshot, you want to use snapshot. And for mirror, if I want to do a mirror, I want every time to be going through snapshot virtual. That's I believe is the same one what I had earlier. Okay. And now if I scroll down, if I say generate settings.xml, that's exactly what I have here. See that? Only thing is, it names that release by as central by default. That's the one that I changed. But if you want me to, I can download this snippet and I can go to that settings2.xml. And this particular thing, right? Password, it didn't get copied. The reason is I didn't provide the password on top. Here. So if I give the password over here, and if I unlock it, so whatever is your password, you have to give your password, and then I say download snippet. This time when it downloads that number 3, there should be a password or the hash. It's not a password basically. It's a encrypted. Come on. So you see this? It's already in there, right? All right. Let's take this guy here and I'll replace what I had earlier. The only thing is, I have said I want every call to go through a mirror. Mirror means do not allow anybody to go through any other external different route. Always force them to go through this route. And this is the route where all the remotes that they want should be technically added. If I remove that remote, it will fail on the first call itself because it will not find JUnit, for example, in our case. Okay. Since this one has an ID called Lotus Ops Maven Snapshot Virtual, I will have to declare that. Right now, if you see, there's a central ID which matches this over here, which matches this and this, right? We'll see one is repository, the other one is plugin repository. And the other one, snapshots, matches this and this. It's the ID. So remember, it's the ID that has to be mapped to the server. That's how it recognizes. I usually like to keep the IDs on top. Although it generated it this way, I prefer to keep it this way. So it becomes a little easy to mind map it. Control L is to delete the whole line. And same way I do it for this guy over here. This is just because I like it this way, okay? Nothing, no hard and fast rule there. And same way you can do it for the others too, like, but I don't want to do it for this. The whole reason I wanted to bring it here is because I wanted to copy this whole thing because it's the same user ID password for all of them. And I wanted to use this ID. Okay, so for this ID, this is the user ID password you have to use. For central, you have to use this user ID password. For snapshot, you have to use this user ID and password. That's what it all means. So now let's go back to the project here and let's see if it works. If it does not work, I'll have to spend some time troubleshooting it. So MVN clean package -u. I'll force snapshot technically not required. And I didn't give the -s settings.xml, so it is going. So notice it is going to repo.maven.com. That is the mirror at the moment. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to force it to use what is my settings.xml. If I don't provide settings.xml file, it uses the setting from the multiple location basically. It can first go check whether you have it in your user settings. So if I go to users here and then go to M2, if there's a settings file over here, it'll honor that. If not, it'll go to my installation basically. Samir, installation. Where did I keep my Maven? Maven for and then it goes in conf, and then it honors this settings file. Okay. So that right now it is honoring this settings file. But what we are saying is, no, don't honor that. I want you to use the settings file which is there at the project level. That's what we're saying. And now the mirror should be going to Lotus Ops. You see this? It's going to Lotus Ops JFrog IO. And you remember the two things I had asked you to remember. One was pull. So this one, what we are doing is pull. We are pulling all the required dependencies from Lotus Ops JFrog.io. I'm going to stop here for a second, just so that you can ask me any question if you didn't understand. Are you clear so far?
Yes, Samir. And so once it's full, is it going to cache it in M2?
Yeah, it will. Any repository which is a snapshot repository, it can go and pull again. But if it's a release repository, it will always be cached and it will use from the cache. If you don't want it to be getting from cache, you'll have to explicitly delete that release repository, release artifact from your cache. Then only it will go and pull again. If you want to explicitly tell even pull the snapshot, then you have to pass that -u command, the one that I was trying to run a moment back. Okay, so right now you see it is building and it is doing really great. What I want to do next is I want to be able to push. In terms of pull, is everything clear so far? When we have to do a push, there's a different configuration that we have to do. That configuration is called distribution management tag. This also I have talked about theoretically earlier, but we are seeing it practically now. So 17. If you go down, I have added this distribution management, but this path is not correct. If you see this, well, it is correct. Lotus Ops Maven release local. I hope that's the same name. If not, we'll figure it out. So if I go to local, I just want to copy this here and make sure that's the same one what I have. No, yeah, it's the same one. And then snapshot. Yeah, so we are all good. So that path is good. The way you get the path is from your settings file itself. So if you look at your settings file, you already have that path. So you have for Maven release virtual, right? Technically, if you use release virtual also, you're fine because we've already specified what is the default place where it deploys. But I usually prefer to specify exactly the local where you want it to get deployed, not the virtual. Okay. But do you know what I mean? If not, let me show you. When we created the virtual, right? I don't remember doing it for release, but let's see if there was only one, so technically it should go there. We did not select here. See, default deployment repository. You can select what is out of 10 or 20 or whatever repositories you added. If somebody uses this virtual, where should it get deployed? It should get deployed to release local. And same way for snapshot, I had already done it while I was showing you earlier. Default is snapshot local. So that's the reason why over here, instead of local, if you use a virtual, you are still fine because by default, it will deploy to release local. And for Maven snapshot virtual, it will deploy to Maven snapshot local. But I like to use the local directly. I don't like to use it separately. Okay. One thing you have to remember is the name that you give here, the ID that you give here, that should be the same ID and it should have a server link to it. For example, if I change this to central one, our distribution management is going to fail. Okay. So please remember that those mappings are very important. I will go in and do something now, but before that, I want to take you to the read view and take you to Artifactory, take you to artifacts, and then take you to snapshot local. There's nothing here. Release local. It's nothing, right? It's empty. See that? I'm going to run the command now, mvn clean deploy -s settings.xml. But before that, I want to see what is it in the pom.xml. What version is it? So if you go to pom.xml, and if you look at the version, it's 1.0 snapshot. Okay, so that's the version that we are expecting it would put. I just want to make sure the child versions are also at the same. If not, I will change it to 100. Yeah, they're all 10, so that we are good there. I will do a Maven clean deploy and then run it. Let's see what happens. If it works, it should deploy it in. So this is the push that we're trying to do. Looks like it worked. Now, if I go here and if I do a refresh and go to snapshot local, you see here, com, Lotus Ops, that's the artifact ID app. There's a core, parent project, service, and web. Parent project because one of the artifact would be parent project. So you see this com Lotus Ops app, and the artifact ID is parent project. That's what this parent project is. And there's only pom over there. So if you go there, you'll see that version number. And in this version number, there'll be that .pom file. This is the POM file. So if you want to view that POM, this is the POM, what you have. Like if you look at it, like those modules and stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to stop here for a second and ask you, have you followed so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Samir.
Let's do one thing. This is where I was trying to get things out for you earlier. The thing is, if I commit this file to GitHub, and for whatever reason, I know it's a private repository for us, nobody has access to it, but if somebody gets their hands on it, technically they'll be able to deploy whatever they want to deploy. I personally don't like this. So what I like to do is I like to keep this in an encrypted format and then have a file which I don't share or don't put it into any GitHub repository. Okay, that's what we'll try to do. If you're able to successfully do it, great. If not, we'll see if we can troubleshoot. So now what I will do is I will move here and I will look at Maven security settings.xml. We have to generate a master password and then we have to generate a password and then we have to keep it into a settings-security.xml. That is what this guy will be talking about. I will take this and you are able to catch up so far, everyone?
Yes, Samir.
Okay. So you're kind of probably you should understand the technique that I'm trying to use, right? The Maven stuff that we just touched and touched the surface. I'm trying to solidify your understanding over here. So now you should be able to link those dots and say, hey, yeah, we learned this and we are seeing it in action. So, so that's the one. So what I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to create a master password. So the way you do master password is MVN. You can always do this help, okay? Any given time. There'll be a, there should be MVN minus EMP encrypted master password. And then there's a EP encrypted password. So first I have to generate the encrypted master password, okay? So MVN minus encrypted master password. And I'll just call it as Samir Sheikh, okay? Enter. It'll give me this content over here, which has to go into a file called settings-security.xml. What should be the format of settings-security.xml? This is what the format is going to be. So I will take this and I'll go to C users, my user.m2, and over here, put a file called Okay, and then the password is basically what I got from here. This is the password. So I'm going to copy from here and I'll replace this part over here. Let's see if your documentation talks the same thing. So you have two ways to do it. You can either put it in your volume or you can put it in your settings-security.xml. Volume is better because you'll never keep it on any file system. Anytime you want it, you'll basically take it from your pen drive, volume mount it, and then use it from there. That's the whole security about it. But right now, my whole intention is I will be sending you this file separately so that anytime we check in something into GitHub, we are not checking any confidential data. That is lesson number one for you from when you commit to GitHub or any Git repositories. Never ever commit confidential data over there. Okay, so that's a lesson that you have to learn from here today. Now, once I have the master password set up, what I need to do is I have to generate the encrypted password for the real password. The real password over here is this one over here, right? This is the real password. So I want to generate an encrypted password for it. So I'll copy this. I have already set up my master password in settings-security.xml. I'm going to run mvn minus encrypted password, not encrypted master password, encrypted password. And then just paste this over here. I got this password. So I will take this along with the curly braces. I'm going to replace all of the instances of this. I'm going to keep a backup file, but I already have it. It's fine. Okay, done. Let's see if this works. With JFrog, I always have trouble getting this to work, but let's try it. mvn clean package -s settings.xml. It worked. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do force -u snapshot, rebuild it. Just try to download everything. Yeah, that's working. Next thing what I will do is I will go in here in Artifactory and I will not here, Artifactory, artifacts, locus of snapshot. I just want to delete this. Let's see whether it allows me to delete here. Gone, right? It's not there. I want to see if the deploy works now. And clean deploy -s settings.xml. Okay, perfect. Now I will go ahead and add these two files, git add, git commit -m, git and always a good habit to add good notes of what you're trying to do.
You know where headphones are?
I don't remember it. Today you'll have to do it without headphones. So fun. I remember that. Just give me 1 second, okay? I'll be back. Give me 1 second. Okay, what I want you to do is pull these changes. You already have this clone, right? The Maven repository. Romana, do you have it?
Yes, Samir, I have it.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Can you share? If you cannot, I will let Saujanya or Jyoti, one of them, to share.
I can share, but Maven is one project which is incomplete in my at my end. So if somebody
You
else
just
can
have to
share.
clone it. You just have to clone it, nothing else. Taujanya or Jyoti, anybody wants to volunteer?
You have to enable screen sharing, Samir.
Yeah. Somebody will have to screen share. Oh, I have to enable screen share. Hold on. Why do I have to do this every single time? Yeah, you can share now. Romana, are you sharing? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello Maven plugin, right?
No, not Hello
Oh.
Maven plugin. That's a Maven project.
Sorry.
The Maven one.
Yeah, sorry.
Just do a git pull.
What's the name?
Enter. No name.
Oh.
Git pull, you never provide anything else. It's just git pull. Yeah, so you should have the settings file and the POM file. Just do a Maven clean package. Try it. It should not work for you. If you do Maven clean package, -s settings.xml space -s. No. Yeah, -s space settings.xml.
Because I don't have that one, right?
Enter. Yeah, you don't have the secure code. That's what. So it should get a 403 error, a 401 error, one of those. A 401, you see that? Just where your selection has ended, it is showing a 401. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So this is because I have added confidential data, but that confidential data is an encrypted key. It will not work till the time. So the link which I've sent you in WhatsApp, do you want me to send you again in here? Hold on, I'll send you here. Here, this is the link. Just open it up.
Yeah.
Can you show me the screen? Where is your screen?
Oh, okay. I have to share this. You can guide me, Samir, which section I have to pull it up. Let me see if I can share. How can I add more? Wait, 1 second. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I see it. Just copy that settings file, that content, and then take it to your settings-security.xml in the M2 repository, M2 folder. Yeah, just create a settings-security here. -security.xml, okay. Open that up and then paste whatever you have it there. Okay.
You have to generate this password, right?
Yeah, you have to generate a master password. So go to command prompt again.
Master password. Maven.
Can you press? Hold on. I can't see. Okay, now I can see it. So Maven MVN -EMP, not EMP, -EMP, encrypted master password. Space. Just give your name, Romana, last name, first name, last name. First name capital letter, last name capital letter.
This should be good.
Yeah, however it is, it should be good, but I will not remember it if you ever forget. You'll never need it actually, but that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, enter. Copy that. Me no. No, not you. You did it?
Here, right? Security.
Yeah.
Replace it here?
Yes. Yeah, save it.
Done. Done.
Now I want you to log into JFrog because you need to have your password, right? Which you will encrypt. I will not give you my password.
Right.
Log into JFrog.
What's the
No,
URL?
you can't do that way. I have
Okay.
sent you the URL lotusops.jfrog.io. Just create some notepad or some kind of a workbook, OneNote, and you should keep all of those links there.
Okay. Lotus. Sure.
.jfrog.io. Now don't ask me what's your user ID password. I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
You're lucky. What I want you to do is go to artifacts on the left hand side, right? Artifacts. No, wherever your mouse pointer was, there's artifacts down there. Yeah, click on that. Now click on quick, set me up, the middle button on top right. And then Maven is good, Lotus Ops. Release, change it to snapshot. On top, Rumana, the drop down is there, right? On top, just change it to snapshot virtual. Yeah. In the mirror, well, you don't need to worry about all this. Just say, just enter your password on top there. You see the type password? Just type your password there.
My JFrog password, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, done.
Yeah, click on that little lock. And then say generate settings. What I just need is your password over here. So download this file. Keep. And then open the file. Yeah, it's okay. Open it in Notepad or wherever. And then that password is there, right? No, I don't want the whole file. I just want the password. Just take that password from there and now go back to your console. MVN minus EP this time, not EMP. EP space paste whatever you have. Enter. Copy whatever you get. Go back to your settings.xml file. Not this one. The settings.xml file. Yeah, that one. And you see that line number 8, right? Just select that whole thing. Don't paste, okay? Just select it. Do a Control F.
Or replace all.
Replace. On top, there's a tab called replace. And then paste whatever you have.
I messed it up. Okay. Replace.
Paste it here. No. What are you doing?
No, I'm good now.
Yeah, go to the front of it. I want to see what's at the front.
Front is what
Replace
I'm
all.
replacing.
Replace all.
Replace all in the current document, right?
You know?
What? There's only one?
We change that regular expression to normal, Rumana. At the bottom, just change it to normal. Now say replace all. Yeah. And now change that username also to your username. No. Don't do that, Rumana. I just showed you a technique. You should have used that same technique. Just select, you have 3 instances.
Oh, there are many? Okay, got it.
No. Place in files. It will be 3 instances. Wait, you're doing fine in files. Don't do that. Do a replace tab, Rumana. Just do a replace tab on top. And now do replace all. That's it, close. Save this file and then try to run the same command which failed earlier.
This one, right?
Yeah. See, it's working now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Huh?
It failed for what? I'm on version 17. What version of Java do you have?
11.
Yeah, just change in the pom.xml to 11. Romana, pom.xml.
Pom.
Okay.
Okay.
It's fine. That's fine. Just change that 17 on line 14 and 15 to 11. Just rerun. Jyoti, Mansa, and Saujanya, you're following, right? All of this, what we're doing.
Yes, Samir.
And
Yes, Samir.
whatever Romana did, you'll have to do the same thing.
Yeah, sure will do that.
Sure.
Yeah. Just a general question to you. I'm making you guys, one of you do it. Are you okay with that? I know it's taking some time, but I get a confidence.
Yeah, okay, Samir. Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you just want me to do it and then you'll follow what I do, I'm fine with that. But I think this might save you some pain.
Yes.
Successful.
Yeah, if you want to do a Maven clean deploy -s settings.xml, you can try to do that too. And one more thing, okay, this -s settings.xml when you're giving, right? You're saying do not use the settings file that is there in my provided default paths. If you didn't want to provide this settings.xml every single time and you're working on only one single project at any given time, what you can do is you can copy that settings.xml file from your project and put it up into your Maven M2 folder. So you want to do that, just try to do it. Copy the settings.xml file from your project. From your project.
Sorry. What I'm in project.
Yeah, copy that and then go to your M2. And do you want those settings file, what you have there? If you don't, just delete them.
I can just take a backup.
Okay. Okay, and then paste whatever you have. So this is your default settings file now. So now go back and do Maven clean deploy. Just Maven clean deploy, that's it, nothing else. Hoping it will take up that file and it will go to Lotus Ops. Let's see. Yeah, it's going. You see that?
Yep.
So this way you don't have to pass -s. But I usually love to do -s because I'll be working on multiple projects pointing to different repositories. But if you're only working on one project, you don't have to do that. Yeah. So now when you did a deploy and it went through, right? What I want you to do is are you trying to do something? Or you want to check?
I'm just waiting for you, for your instructions.
Okay, go back to wherever you were. Over here, right now, what we've done is we've done a snapshot release, and we've delivered that to JFrog as part of a Maven clean deploy. There's a very special lesson you have to learn over here is there are goals we've talked about, right? We've talked about there's a compile goal, there's a validate goal, there's a compile goal, there's a package goal, and then there's a deploy goal. We talked about when you do a package, it creates the final artifacts, puts it up into the project's target directory. When you do an install goal or phase or life cycle, whatever you call it, when you do install takes that artifact from your target folder and puts it up into your M2 repository folder. Okay. When you do a deploy, it takes that folder from your local or target, wherever you say. To me, I like to say it picks up from the .m2 repository where it just deployed and then puts it up into your remote repository. How does it know where your remote repository is? That is where you go back to your Visual Studio Code and go to pom.xml. How does it know where to deploy? Go to the end of it, end of the file. It knows that by looking at this distribution management. what we are saying is, if it's a release, line number 85 to 89, if it's a release, that is where I want you to deploy. And if it's no, line number 85 to 89, that is where I want you to deploy. And if it's snapshot, you see that snapshot repository, I want you to deploy line number 90 to 94. So that HTTPS URL that you see, that is where I want you to deploy. So you already saw that as part of my demo, which I showed that it is deploying properly to snapshot. Now let's try to do a release build. Jyoti, you've been doing a lot of release build. Tell her how to do a release build, how to change the version to release in that POM file now. No, Romana, don't do it manually. Jyoti?
Version should be, it should not be snapshot.
Yeah, how do you change it?
After trigger the release builds, we will get the image with the version.
No. Okay, this is the critical piece for you, Jyoti. When you click on the release in your Jenkins and then click on the build, what does it do behind the scene is what we're going to see now. Okay, so go back to your Git bash, Romana, and clear the screen, please. CLEAR, clear. Type MVN versions, 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 colon, set, SET, space. You know what? Instead of me giving this command, just Google for Maven version plugin. Maven version plugin. Click on that first link. And you see here, there should be a version set goal. Just look for set. I can see it. I don't know whether you can see it.
Yeah, the version set property.
Yeah, no, on top of that. Click on that. And if you scroll down a little bit, maybe they have given you the command. If not, I will give it to you. Hold on, just go up. Yeah, hold on. On the left-hand side, right? Let's see if they're changing project version. Read from bottom up on the left-hand panel. Changing the project version. Yep, click on that. And if you see here, they have that command there, right? Minus MVN version set. That is what I want you to do.
Okay.
And before you run, just scroll down a little bit. There might be more commands. There should be a POM backup or something like that. Keep going. Is there anything else? Yeah, minus TTTTT2 versions. No. Okay, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Go run that command. Just delete this and run that command. Before you run, just hold on, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, new version. I'm trying to come back to yours. Okay, so by default, right, it generates a backup POM. It's fine, we will take a look at it, but there's a command wherein you can say -d generate backup POMs equals to false. But for now, just run it. Just run that command. Hold on. No, version is going to be 1.0. 1.0-1, let's see. 1.0-1. Enter.
Is this deploying or building?
It's building. It's not building, it's just updating the version and then building it basically.
It's going to update the form file with the new version.
Mhm. You see, read that. No, don't go there. Why are you going there? Read that. For all of those sections, it's saying version 1.0 snapshot changed to 101 1.0-1. So notice how intelligently it went into each and every child module and also changed it. A project which has 100 modules or 200 modules or 300 modules, you never want to do it manually. You do not want to do find and replace because you don't know what all you'll be changing if you do a find and replace all, right?
Yeah.
So this is the technique that you're going to use to update it with a plugin that is provided by Maven. So now it has updated that version number to 1.0-1. I want you to go to your Visual Studio Code for a second. Don't click anywhere, just open it. Notice there is a setting, there should be a form file backup. You see that form.xml version backup. Yeah, and now if you go inside every module, go to core, there also you'll see every form will have a backup. Click on the backup, it will have that 1.0 snapshot version, the older version. Let's say you're not happy with it. This never happens, okay? In a continuous build, which Jyoti was talking about, you never have this option. You always move forward. But in our world, we wanted to just quickly check, and now we want to roll back to the previous version. So the command is going to be mvn versions revert.
That's it.
Yeah, just run that. You'll see that form.xml gets updated back to whatever the previous version was, and that the backup file is gone.
Okay. So what does it say? Nothing here.
Backup file is gone, right?
Yeah, I'm checking now.
Yeah, that's it. Even
Yeah,
if top
yeah,
level,
it's
it's
still.
gone. Yeah. So, and your POM file will have 1.0 snapshot in it. Right.
Back.
Now go back and run the same version. Let's say in a good world, we want to accept those changes. So rerun that command, yes. And this is something that I want you guys to play a lot with. Okay. So now you're here. It has a backup file. If you look at it, there'll be a backup file.
Yes.
Okay. And now go and instead of revert, say commit, mvn versions commit.
Okay, got it. So that will be permanent. Backup will be deleted and
Yeah, your version will be 1.0-1 now.
yeah, I don't see backup file anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if it happens at one level, that should happen everywhere, Rumana. It's a machine, not a human, right? So no mistakes there. Let's go ahead. Let's go back and put that hyphen snapshot in there. Same version command, but -d version, put 1.0 snapshot.
I'll revert back.
Yeah. Hyphen snapshot. There's no revert option available, but you'll have to manually revert now. Yeah. Enter.
Then commit, right? Do this and then commit.
Yeah, you can commit. Yes, you can commit, but go ahead.
Okay. Go back.
Just to commit. So what you noticed is we did version set, we did version revert, or we did version commit. Let's say we never want to do version revert. Our process is always go forward, especially with machines doing the build, right? You don't have an option to be interactive anymore. You're always moving forward. So if we don't want to create any backup files, so on and so forth, because if we create the backup files and if we do a git commit, the backup file also will get committed. So we don't want that to happen. So the command is going to be bring back that same command, version set -d version 10-1. Don't press enter, okay? 1 space -d G small, okay? Generate G small, generate backup B capital, backup forms POMS P capital equals to false. So this is technically using Maven version set and Maven version commit in one single command. So move forward. Enter.
Yeah.
Remember one thing, okay? If you had not used put your settings file in place, you might want to use -s settings.xml eventually, maybe not in this command because it doesn't go out. So now if you see there's no backup files created and that 1.0 is final basically.
Yep.
Okay. Now I want you to do Maven clean deploy. Enter. Now go back to your Artifactory. And go to release local. Maven release local. No, there it is. Left on the left, it is there, right? Middle section, Rumana. Where are you going? Rumana, there's a left section, there's a middle section. When you click on artifacts, there's a middle section and there's a release local there. Just expand that. Rumana, how many sections are there?
Lost. What am I seeing?
Maven,
Artifacts.
Lotus Ops, release local.
Okay, release local. Okay.
There you go. So now it is also published into release, and if you expand it, the version will be 10-1. Expand core. Expand it, Romana. Yeah, there you go. So what I want you to do is I want you to try to rebuild a 1.0 and see if it fails. You remember while I was creating this repository, I told you there's an option in Nexus to tell you should never overwrite a version. In Artifactory, I didn't find that option. Maybe it is there somewhere or it is default. I don't know. Try to rebuild it and see if it builds, then there's something wrong. I will have to go check the flag where I have to tell it, do not overwrite an existing version. So try to run the same command, please.
Deploy?
Yeah. My expectation is it should not overwrite, but there might be a flag to tell it not to overwrite. So it basically uploaded if you notice it.
Yeah.
I don't want it to upload. So if you want to Google quickly how to stop Maven from replacing a release build. How to stop in JFrog. JFrog. Do not overwrite release build. Let's see. Okay, at the same time, I will quickly check if there's a flag. Okay, there should be some flag. Yeah, it's a question to everyone. Okay, if anybody else wants to check, please check. Should be something to block it.
Maybe permissions, just setting the permission not to delete or something.
No, it's not. Internal advanced. Oh. When set, repository does not possibly. Okay, I don't see that option at all anywhere. Disable. Okay. Yeah, in Nexus, they have a very nice way to say disable override. Deploy permission allows overwriting snapshot, but no other versions. Strange. Anybody knows how to do that? Anybody knows what the question is? Saujanya, Jyoti, Mansa, you know what the question is?
Yeah, I understood the question, but yes, still searching for the answer.
Okay, so you know, right? I mean, what I'm looking for is if you have already done a release 1.0-1, I don't want that release to get overwritten.
Yes.
So in Nexus, there's an obvious option when creating a release local to specify that you cannot overwrite, but looks like in Artifactory, it is some kind of a permission somewhere. I'm not able to find it. Let's see if we can spend like 5 minutes to see if we can find it. What happened? No. Yes, it shouldn't be this difficult. Is local. Okay, I will anyway let you try and find an answer.
Yeah, I got something, Sami. I'm sharing others. Where is it?
What does it say?
So it's something related to permission. It says you can prevent a
Right.
user or group from overwriting a deployed release or unique snapshot by not granting the delete permission.
No, but I don't want to do that, right? I mean,
Not
if I
that
do
way.
that, that user will not be able to do it for anyone. I just want to disable override of the same version for release only. You might be right. That might be what how JFrog does it, but I am not happy with that.
Okay. I'm just gonna paste this anyway. It's at the bottom.
Yeah. I would love to have a way to disable override based on a particular repository. Right, that's what my expectation is. Okay. Release version.
Yeah, it looks like there are no, I'm not sure, we have not seen it fully, but there are workarounds. If you check out some Stack Overflow.
Yeah, looks like this problem almost a lot of people have it, which is a very basic expectation from a repository.
Some people have suggested writing a plugin.
Yeah. So disable redeploy on Maven release repository. This is a good article actually. Maybe you also can read it a bit over here. This is the one. Just read it if you have some time. Please disable do. It says immutable releases are rather important around. Somebody is asking for in 2020 and nobody has replied to it. It's a very basic requirement. If there's already an artifact in there which is released, you should never allow anybody to overwrite it. All right, Jyoti, you have people around in JFrog with FIS. Try to find out an answer to this. Okay.
I'll try to find it out tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very basic requirement. I mean, if they do not have it, it's a shame. If you're controlling it through permission, it's a shame. All right, anyway, let's not spend time here. I'm going to take back the share, Romana. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Right. Here we are. Now what I want to do is, okay, in terms of whatever we did so far, except for not being able to overwrite a release build, which is in the world of FIS right now, it is not a big problem. The reason being the -1 that Romana used, that -1 is the release build number from Jenkins. So there's never a possibility that we will use the same version over again and overwrite an older release. That will never happen. Okay. But my expectation is if it ever happens, the repository manager should avoid it. So I should have a will to say, do not allow it to be overwritten. Okay, that's what I think is missing, but that's fine. It is what it is. We cannot get them to do something which we want. But to me, it's a very basic requirement. Let's move forward. How do I get this guy out from here?
For Java projects, the reason we are using Maven is as a build tool is because it supports only Java projects, right, Samir? So can we deploy Java projects to Nexus repository?
When you say deploy, what do you mean? Nexus is just a repository manager. It is not where the applications run.
Right. Can it be a repository for Java projects? I'm saying
it can be a repository for anything. There is no hard and fast rule that Maven can be used only for Java projects.
Okay.
Maven can be used for Node.js projects. Maven can be used for Python projects. Maven can be used for any projects. Because under the hood, if you remember, we were using you'll not be able to use the Maven compile command, because compile command is only for Java projects. But there are several other plugins which might be able to use, right? You want to copy a file from one location to another. Yeah, you can use Maven. You want to bundle what is already bundled by, which is already created by, what is that? Let's say Node.js, NPM, and you want to take it, zip it up and put it up into JFrog. Yeah, you can do that with Maven. So it will be wrong on my part to say it is only supported for Java. It can be used for non-Java projects also.
And the reason why we chose JFrog and not Nexus is, why did we choose JFrog?
We went to JFrog because FIS uses JFrog. So we wanted to be as close to what FIS uses, so that, yeah. And JFrog and Nexus are very, very close. I mean, in terms of functionality, there is no huge functionality difference. You have to remember, every time I'm repeating this, right? Remote repository. It is a place where you store your data, which can be shared with multiple people.
Right.
So it's just a data share location. I can even use a simple S3, AWS S3. In that case, I can just put generated artifact in S3 and it will be available to everyone through permission. Okay, so either it's Nexus or JFrog, doesn't really make a big difference. There are these fine lines which the features might not be available with everyone. One of them we already saw. Anybody else has any questions? No? Hello? Anybody?
No.
No question.
Okay. Were you already familiar with JFrog? Had you seen all of this? There's a lot that you can play around with: groups, permissions, access token. Feel free to do something, whatever you want to do. Just don't delete anything existing, because then we might have to go through and recreate everything again. So if you want, you can just go around. Like, for example, these are not available. These are upgrade features that are available, right? So feel free to look around and like, if you see here, there's a lot of stuff here which you can. If you go to edit profile, if you want to generate your API token, so on and so forth, you can enter a password, generate your API token. Your encrypted password is over here, the one that we used in our settings.xml file. Okay, so a lot of stuff here. So feel free to explore and do what you need to do with JFrog. But let's move forward and look at what we had to for others, right? Did anybody look at what the Docker attach command does? In terms of your assignment, right? Did you have any questions? Did you get some time to do it? You didn't get time to do it?
I went through it, Samir. I'm good.
Okay. So let's do. So we want to see command entry point, usage of hours when building Docker ignore, Docker context, multi-stage Docker builds. Okay. Let's look at this. The thing is, we'll have to write a small Java project for this to. Okay, let's write a simple Java project. Let's go here. I'm creating a simple Java project here, which will Okay, let's see. All of this you don't need to do, okay? I mean, as a DevOps, you're not expected to do all this, but it's good to know. If I go in source main app.java, let's see if this guy allows me to run from here. Never done this. It's the plugin. Be able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Let's install this Java plugin. Already hit. To let's see if it has recognized my Java project or not. Yeah, it's working. Hello world. What I want to do is again, I want to print out the environment variable. If there's any environment variable, I want it to print out. System.getEnv is the one. Java print environment variable. If you want to search it, it should be system.getEnv. This one. So what I will do is I will just comment this out and print ln. No. Right, let's see if this runs. So it did print out the path variable. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to put some silly name, let's say DevOps name. That variable itself does not exist. Okay. So what I will do is I will put a simple block so that it at least prints something every single time. Again, I'm not trying to do Java program over here, but I need to bring at least a sample program for you. If not equals to empty, then this, else this. And This should not be a very tough program for you to understand, right? I don't need to explain what it's doing. It could potentially print DevOps variable not found when I run this program. Not equals to empty. Oh. Not familiar with this ID. If it's empty, then or null, let's see if it's null. We'll figure out. Let's run it. If it's null, we'll add another condition. Cannot invoke because the name is null. Yeah. So name not equals to null or name is equals to empty. Technically, I can use a string utils to do that, but just for our sake, I'm trying to keep it very simple. It is saying because name is null. Oh, why am I doing this? It should not be not. It should be equals to null because we want to execute only one part of it. If it's equal to null, don't execute this. Right, that should work. Run. I want this to be printed. Why does it not print this? Equals to null, then this. What's wrong with my logic today? Okay, this should definitely work. But this is not DevOps. I'm expecting that DevOps in one variable not found, right? That's what it has to print. That's my expectation. What I will do now is I will do set that works. Oh, with Windows there's a problem. It doesn't set that name in one variable immediately, but let's see if this guy works. Yeah, that is, it's not going to recognize this unless and until set a set X. Right, but this is good enough for us to dockerize this and pass an environment variable and then execute this command. Okay, so I have this program over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do Maven clean package. So the jar should get created. CD target. We have this jar docker java 10 snapshot.jar, right? So what I want to do is java minus jar docker java. Oh, I'll have to set a manifest in it. Okay, we'll do it. First of all, let's see that this is going to fail because there's no manifest file inside it. So no manifest attribute in Docker. So what we want to do is we want to add a manifest to it. It's a very good thing for us to look at the capability of Maven. So let's go ahead and do that. Maven jar manifest. Let's look at this plugin, and in this plugin, it should allow us to do executable jar. So if we look here, should be able to specify the main class. So my main class is this, right? app.java, com lotus of app.java. I wanted to specify some way. There's a way, I mean, I'm not going too much into the depth of how the jar is created because this is what a developer will create for you. Okay. So if you do not understand everything that I'm saying here, it's fine. But what you need to understand is if I have to use a manifest, there's a way for me to specify it using a Maven jar plugin. I'll have to override the Maven jar plugin. So probably it should already be there here. Let me see plugins. No, it is not here. So what we will do is we will add a section called plugins. And then I will pick this up from here, plugin, and I will paste it over here. I don't need this. I don't need this. ORG Apache Maven jar plugin. We have probably already provided the version number down. So let me see if it's already there. Yeah, 3.0.2 is already there in plugin management. This is similar to the dependency management which we talked about. Version is managed over here. So when I don't give a version here, it will pick up from what is given. So I'm saying add class path is true, and the main class I'll have to give my class name. So what is that? com.lotusops.app.java. .app. Does it really? Yeah, let's leave it there and we'll see what happens. So after doing this, clear, MVN clean package. Let's see if it creates the manifest. It's saying the goal specified requires, oh, okay, sorry, here. Give me a second, okay, let me finish this and then I'll give you a brief overview of what I'm trying to do. Target and Java minus jar Docker. Yeah, you see that? It's working now. Okay, so questions, okay? Let me quickly go to Saujanya, you should be a little bit aware about what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, program, I'm aware of it, yes.
So there are two types of jar, okay? One jar is non-executable jar. Another jar is executable jar. So when you say executable jar in a Java world, everything starts from a main method. So if you see here, in this particular class of mine, there's a main method, public static void main. That is the start. But when we create an executable jar, we have to have a way to tell where is our main class located. So technically, if I'm creating a jar by hand, what I should be doing is in this jar, I should be bundling. So that's the app class. In this jar, oh, I don't have 7-zip. Let me change this to zip. If I go inside here, if I go into meta-inif, in manifest.mf, right? If I open that file, there should be a main class section there. See that main class? So if I'm bundling this jar by my hand, this is what I'll have to do. But if you have to do it as part of your jar, so you should remember anytime a jar is created, that is created by using a Maven jar plugin. So with Maven jar plugin, there are many things that we can technically do. One thing what we saw just now is how to add a main class. That's what we saw. What if in the manifest we also wanted to add some more details? For example, we wanted to add the project version, project name, so on and so forth. So then that is what you'll have to explore a little bit over here. And this is, I'm not liking it. Is there a way we can minimize this? Yeah, either I need the top or bottom and it just sticks around and I don't like this. You're still seeing this banner, right? No response. Am I talking to myself?
Which banner, Samir?
This banner. The Zoom banner, do you see it or you don't see it?
No.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I would like it to hide some way, but it doesn't hide. Anyway, if you're still seeing my screen, right, there is a way we can add manifest entries. If I want to add some more details, right? So what I can do is I can have this archive, go back to my POM file, and I already have archive. So let me get only manifest entries. I can add manifest entries like this. So say, for example, I'm saying name Samir. URL is, let's say, version is project.version, let's say. So these are the things that I wanted to go in manifest. So usually this is done so that we can keep a record of who built it, when it was built, so on and so forth. You can add time and all of that, right? But we'll just run this for a second and see what happens. This is where I have to keep moving this banner.
Samir, do you have your view option set to fit to window?
View of what?
The zoom on top. View option. Oh, it might be just for us, I guess.
Yeah, I don't even see that actually. There's no option for me to hide this. Hide floating meeting control. Yeah, now it's gone. Okay, it was there in front of me. Now it's gone. So Maven clean package. Let's run this. And then we'll go to the manifest again. So I will go back. It is not there. So I will open this up. Oh, by the way, if you don't have 7-zip, right, try to install 7-zip. Okay, it's a very good tool. 7-zip, things like this, right? When I want to I just quickly install it because it will make our life a little easier. Right, so that's done. Now, if I go back here, right click, show more option, 7-zip, open archive. And if I go to manifest here, and if I try to open this manifest using a Notepad++, you should see this name and you should see this version over here. See that, right? So this gives us a capability to add, basically sign that jar that is created. So this is actually called jar signing. But eventually when we move forward, we will look at it. How do I take this common stuff that I want to be done by each and every project and take it up to an enterprise form? Okay, we haven't reached that level of maturity yet. So I want to do everything locally so that you figure out what we are doing, why we are doing, so on and so forth. Okay. This should give you an idea that since there's a Maven jar plugin, there should also be a Maven war plugin. There should also be Maven ER plugin, so on and so forth. And all of them should have manifest entries, not manifest. Manifest is only for jar file most of the time, because war and ER, you don't need to have it. So you can always go explore that. This should give you a confidence to play around with your plugins. Okay, that's why I told you, just hold on. As we move forward, we will be doing a lot with Maven as and when it's needed, so that you're able to associate with why we're doing it. Okay, now we have this jar, which is executable. I want to bundle that jar into a Docker file. Okay, so I want to create a Docker file basically and bundle it in the Docker file. And I want that program to be executed. Okay, so that is what we are trying to go look at it now. So what I want to do is, before I go anywhere, let's go back here, Docker Java. I'm going to create a Docker file over here only. Where's a notepad? New. Here. So I'm going to call it as Docker file. And while this is happening, let me create a repository for it for you guys, because I'll have to do this on Linux. I don't want to do it here. I go here, SOPs, Oh, we are almost above time. Gosh. Let's at least get to some logical stuff. Docker Java sample, let's say. Okay. And I'm going to init git add dot git branch -m main. So -m is basically to rename that branch. Okay. If you do a git branch minus git checkout -v or git branch in the branch name, it creates a new branch from this existing branch. But with -m, it's basically renamed. So if I do a git branch -a, I should not see the master at all. I should only see main. That's it. Okay. Git commit -m initial commit, and I'll paste this here. And I want to actually go ahead and remove the target folder. I don't want it to be checked in. I want to add a git ignore file. So new. Don't make that noise here, baby. Yeah, pick it there. And as I told you earlier, right, you can search for Java or Maven git ignore. Let's see. Should give you that GitHub's git ignore. You can just copy this content and put it up in this file. See if we also have for Java. Copy this content and put it up in this file. So now I will do a git status git add dot git -m. Oh yeah, that's good. Git push -u origin main. So this should come up here. So you see all of this here, right? What I want to quickly do is I want to spin up a EC2 instance, connect to it, and then do everything I want to do about Docker over there instead of doing it anywhere else. No thanks, go away. Okay, the thing is I want to be able to git clone now, and git is not installed as part of the provisioner. So I'm thinking it might be a good idea to specify that. So if I go in here, you know what, let's open it up in git bash. Dot. That's a fun. If I go here, and if you see this, we are installing Docker. I want to install Git also. Install Git on. Let's do this. And here. -5 because I don't want it to wait. I want to do again and see what happens. It should destroy and recreate it because we are changing the. Remind me to commit this change because you might need it. Yeah, we have 11 more minutes. Are you guys flexible with your time, or you're hard bound by the time of 11 minutes, 10 minutes now?
I'm okay with it, Samir.
Okay. Okay, question to you is, are you liking the way, the pattern that we are following, that I don't cover end to end day one, but as we move forward, we uncover little by little? Do you like this pattern, or would you rather like to just do a deep dive and then say, okay, this topic is completely done. We are done with Maven. We are done with Git. How do you like it?
No, Samir, it's good.
I'm fine with it too, Samir.
Yeah, I like the way you're going.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So my whole idea is that you should be able to understand why we are doing it, right? What is the problem? For example, I showed you, I wanted to create an executable jar. If I had to show you the Maven jar plugin and manifest entries and manifest earlier, probably you'll not be able to relate to it, right? I'm hoping now you should be able to relate to it. Now, I showed you Terraform. I showed you that you could install Docker by yourself, and then you're able to do it using Terraform only. And now I wanted Git also. That's the reason why I added Git. Let's see if it's working. SSH EC2 user at this. Okay, it is still commissioning, so it will not connect. It will time out. We'll have to give it some time.
I may not be able to continue after 8:30.
Yeah, we'll stop it.
You can go on. I'll just watch the recording because Zidane is starting school tomorrow.
Okay,
Yes.
sure. Yeah, I want to at least get to a level where I'm bundling and then I'm showing the pending stuff about Docker that we talked about, right? It's a very quick thing. Let me see if I can get there. Still not provisioned. I can't even see what is this QH. E8Z C7MF. It is still initializing it. I don't know whether it is because of yeah, that sudo probably was not required. That is what it is. If it takes like until 8:30 just to initialize, then we will leave it. We'll continue Wednesday. But if it gets initialized, then we'll spend some time to.
Can we also set up JFrog environment? JFrog repository?
Yeah, you can. I mean, that's what Romana did, right? What do you mean by JFrog environment, Jyoti?
JFrog repository.
Yeah, I mean, you can reuse the same one, what I have. Or if you want to create a separate one for you, you can do that.
Okay.
It is taking longer time than I expected to initialize. Unless that command is not right. Shouldn't take so much time.
Plan is to only add resources, right, Samir? So if there is any installation, do we require to run plan, Terraform plan?
Sorry, what was that?
No, Terraform init we need to execute, I think.
No, init is just to initialize the first time for the provider. We have already
Right.
initialized.
And plan is for adding the resources. So this is not considered as a resource, right? I don't know. It's not.
No, plan is not to add resources. Plan is to tell what resources will get added.
Right. And apply is the one which actually does that.
Correct. So now anything and everything is a resource. So if you see this is the AWS instance resource. We have modified it to add this entry. So it recognizes it, it destroys the existing resource and then recreates a brand new one with this user data.
Right.
So that's the beauty of Terraform, but I'm not sure why it is getting stuck into initialization phase forever. Unless this command cannot be run. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment this out for now and see if I'm able to install it directly by getting inside it. Okay. But I don't want you to be held back. So we'll try until 8:30 C. Let's see what happens. So now what it will do is it's going to destroy this one which was running. See that it is stopping it and it will create a new one because we have changed that state of that resource. That is the beauty of Terraform. It started creating a new one now. Or rather, it stopped it, applied that user data, and then starting it. Maybe it is just slow today. I don't know. I know it takes some time to initialize all of this command, but it shouldn't be so long. All this, right? Docker. How long does it take for you guys? Usually 5 minutes?
Less than that.
Yeah, less than 5 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes maybe.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that installation of Docker, right? I mean, it will take at least 2 minutes. So maybe we are just not giving it enough time. But anyway, the whole idea, let me at least give you a picture of what I'm trying to do so that we can catch up from where we left here. I want to have a EC2 instance with Docker and Git installed in it. So what I want to do is I want to clone this repository, whatever I just pushed, this repository inside the EC2 instance, and then run the Docker build command to create a Docker image from this Docker file. So I haven't put anything inside this Docker file, if you see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy from the target folder. So when we do a Maven clean package, I want the target folder to be taken, put inside the Docker image, and then the Docker image should specify the entry point as Java. Okay, and then the command would be the name. I mean, we are not passing any argument at the moment. So we will modify the Java program to look when we have to pass argument. At the moment, we will not pass any argument. Okay, what we will do is we will be passing an environment variable when creating the container, the DevOps name, whatever. So that will give you an idea as to how an environment variable can be passed and how a program will be able to recognize that environment variable. So basically, this whole program is to be able to look at the pending stuff that we had with Docker. That is for, this program is for that. So we will modify this program as we need to clear our concepts. So that way, you're not looking at a program which is given to you by somebody else. Like I've done this in front of your eyes. Okay. So that's the whole idea. Shouldn't take us more than 10 minutes if the instance comes up. But for some reason, this instance doesn't want to come up so quickly. So we'll probably catch up next week is what I'm thinking. I will stop the recording for now if you're okay, but I'm still available for you to ask any questions if you have.